Unang-una po, Mr. President, gusto kong malaman, yung po bang mga kasong sinabi nyo, unanimous decisions po ba lahat?
I am not sure about that. But one thing I can say is that if there is a mistake, a unanimous decision could become a unanimous mistake.
Wala pa pong nangyaring gano'n, Mr. President. At saka po tayo, pag nananakbo, ako po ay nakasapatos at saka sa kalsada kaya hindi po ako matitinik.
Well,
If the Senate finds that the one-year bar rule is violated or that the impeachment complaint has no legs to stand on, that will be the end of the entire controversy. He was saying that let's give all the remedies available to the House and the Senate because of their primary jurisdiction. But when the case is ripe for judicial determination, it was the view of the former Chief Justice that the Supreme Court at that time, and only at that time, when it can speak with great moral authority in order to compel the loyalty, the respect, and the obedience of our people. Mr. President, when the Supreme Court negates the actions of a co-equal branch of government, it does not assert its superiority. Instead, it upholds the supremacy and the dominance of the fundamental law of the land, the Constitution. And so the Supreme Court has already spoken. The last arbiter of law, it says the complaint is unconstitutional, is void ab initio, is violative of due process. The Senate never acquired jurisdiction over this. It is immediately executory. On that note, Mr. President, I respectfully move that the impeachment complaint be dismissed. I so move, Mr. President.
Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. President, before, Mr. President, we act on the motion of the distinguished gentleman from the great province of Tarlac and Rizal. Mr. President, the motion is not among the privileged motions listed under our Rule 32, Section 90 of our rules. Therefore, Mr. President, it is debatable and may be subject to clarificatory questions. Nonetheless, Mr. President, our movant, Senator Marcoleta, has the floor, and Mr. President, subject to his consent and with his magnanimity, clarificatory questions on the motion may be entertained. In fact, Mr. President, we have some members of the Senate who wanted to interpolate with the permission, Mr. President, of the...
What is the pleasure of Senator Sotto, our distinguished Minority Floor Leader?
thank you, Mr. President. If the distinguished gentleman from Tarlac favor me with a few questions, I will be gladly accepting his favor. And if the Senate President will allow me, after a few questions, I will make my own manifestation to that effect.
The gentleman may proceed. Should Senator Marcoleta so allow it?
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you very much. Mr. President, thank you. So, listening to the privileged speech of the distinguished gentleman from Tarlac, the basis of your motion to dismiss is the Supreme Court's decision, which is now pending appeal by virtue of the MR, or the motion for reconsideration filed last Monday by the House of Representatives. Is it not, Your Honor?
The question whether is it...
Yes, your
Subject
basis
to
for
appeal.
your motion to dismiss is based on the Supreme Court decision that the so-called impeachment is unconstitutional, based on their decision.
Yes, Mr. President, Your Honor. That's very, very clear and categorical.
Correct. The Supreme Court decision, Mr. President, although immediately executory, is not yet final, thus appealable. Ngayon, nakapila na. marami nagtatanong kung naka-apila na ba tayo nagmamadali na i-dismiss ito sa atin. So may I ask the gentleman, what will happen if we prematurely dismiss the case and the Supreme Court subsequently grants the MR and reverses its own decision?
The question, Mr. President, is speculative.
Yes, yes. May I have a speculative answer, Mr. President?
We cannot speculate. We can only guess, second guess, because on the basis of our experience as a practicing lawyer, Mr. President, ito pong ganitong klaseng desisyon, talaga pong wala na pong kaduda-duda na kahit po mag-file pa tayo ng motion for reconsideration. We are hoping against hope. It is as if we are wishing for the moon. Palagay nyo po, palagay nyo lang po merong isa na nag-reverse. Hindi rin po ma-overturn eh. Kasi po ang kailangan po ninyo ay 8 ang mag-reverse. Sa inaakala po ba ninyo, meron kayong makukuhang 8 na pumirma doon sa unanimous decision na babaligtarin po nila yung kanyang sarili. Kaya, napakahirap pong mag-speculate, Mr. President.
I will accept the answer of the gentleman, but I have done my research, Mr. President. And to remind everyone, the reversal of the Supreme Court's own decision is not impossible, even in landmark cases. In the case of Labugal, Bilaan Tribal Association Incorporated versus Victor Ramos, GR number 127882, December 1st, 2004, questioning the constitutionality of Republic Act 7942 or the mining law, the Philippine mining law. The Supreme Court granted the MR, reversing and setting aside its earlier ruling. And also, Mr. President, just a few days ago, the Supreme Court reversed its own ruling on the definition of a stockholder. This is the case of Lily Lopez versus Lolito Lopez with GR numbers 25497-957-58. So, may kasabihan po tayo, ang tumatakbo ng matulin, kung matinik ay malalim. Kaya dapat siguro pag-isipan muna natin kung tama ba na bago magdesisyon ang Supreme Court, basta ibasura na natin ang kaso na ito.
Unang-una po, Mr. President, gusto kong malaman, yung po bang mga kasong sinabi nyo, unanimous decisions po ba lahat?
I am not sure about that. But one thing I can say is that if there is a mistake, unanimous decision could become a unanimous mistake.
Wala pa pong nangyaring gano'n, Mr. President. At saka po tayo, pag nananakbo, ako po ay nakasapatos at saka sa kalsada kaya hindi po ako matitinik.
Well,